Hello and welcome back to what I wished I'd known about self-publishing before I got started. My name is Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I figured it was about time we did some updates on KDP because, as you can see, they have done a few changes to their publishing page. Now, if you're going to just log in and start from the get-go, you've got the usual create, manage, publish page. And then you say, hey, I haven't published in a while, let's create something. And then you pop on, and the next thing you know, instead of just 2, maybe 3 options, there are 5. This can get a little confusing, especially if you are first time with KDP and you have never seen any of this stuff before. We still have the ebook, the paperback, the hardcover, which is in beta mode for who knows how long and for what reason, and it still doesn't have as many options as other sites that you can use to publish through. But they have added a series page and Kindle Vella, which has been out there for a year or so now. So let's kind of look at not the top 3, but these bottom 2. I personally haven't done them myself, but this is actually a kind of a game changer right here, this series page. There are a lot of us who do standalone books, which is fine and dandy. That's perfectly fine. But there are some of us who like to write series, and outside of saying, hey, Amazon, can you hook these things together, and putting that information directly onto your startup setup page or whatever when you're putting your book together, it's kind of nice to actually have an area where you can create a series and sell it on Amazon. I haven't really looked into this much myself, but kind of reading through here, it says there are 2 ways to create your series. You can create a series page, or you can add a title to a new or existing series by clicking the ellipses or ... button next to the book you want to update, and then click add to series. This is just another way that they have given you to supposedly help you along. I don't know how helpful it is at this point because I have not played with it yet. I don't have any new series that I need to hook all together, so that's a thing, but you can apparently use it to update your series, create a series with multiple authors, helps you figure out where to find your series page if you've created one, and you can even offer a discount for your series. And apparently there's a specific one for their Japanese website, which I think is kind of interesting and I will definitely have to look into later. But the other one that we kind of wanted to look a little bit more into is this Kindle Vella. Now, I remember when we got the emails out, those of us who've been doing KDP for a while, and it was like, hey, this is a new option, and it was like this big deal. And, you know, cool, new toy, shiny, whatever, but I didn't really play with it because I didn't want to do a story piecemeal like on Wattpad, because that's basically what it's being compared to is Wattpad, Radish, or similar. Basically, it's a serialized reading platform, something that used to be done all the time in magazines or things like that. They do it all the time in Japan with mangas in places like Shonen Jump, etc., where they release a chapter at a time. Kindle Vella allows you to do that through their Vella app or on the website. And they kind of have a guide of 500 to 6,000 words per chapter or episode, as they like to call them. And anybody can access the first 3 episodes of any Vella story for free, but if you want to access more, people have to actually subscribe, pay something, unlock tokens, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Here it says you need to acquire tokens and use those to unlock future chapters, which I'm assuming you have to pay money for. But again, I don't really do this kind of writing, but I figured there are people out there who do, so you probably kind of wanted an idea of what this is all about. And of course, the number of tokens you need to unlock depends on how long everything is, blah, 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 blah. This website actually gives it a lot more clearly than the Kindle Direct does. They've got it all in little sections, which is nice, where you can kind of go, hey, how does this work? But it looks pretty cut and dry, and the text is absolutely tiny. So if you are slightly visual impaired, or wear glasses or whatever like I do, it makes it a little difficult, so I like to have the larger print here. So Kindle Vella works for authors in the vein of you can still directly publish through your dashboard, just like with your ebooks, your hardcover, paperback, whatever. Enter your title, your name that you're using as your author, write your story's description, like you were on Wattpad or whatever, so that's kind of like your blurb if you were doing it on a book cover. Then you need to upload an image, and it wants their images square with the most important elements centered, because apparently Amazon will automatically crop your image into a circle, so you want your main image, whatever, centralized, which I know is a huge crazy sauce for anybody who is a designer, because center stage is not always the best when it comes to designing. Sometimes offset gives more impact. Anyway, then it'll allow you to select 2 categories for your story, and it's kind of like the same kind of things you have for your Kindle store, where you get to choose kind of your topic things. Choose, categories. This is going to be sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Then you get to add 7 tags to categorize your story, and they're kind of like the whole KDP keywords or search terms, except they have their own landing page featuring all stories associated with it, like Instagram or hashtag on Twitter, now X. So that kind of makes things a little interesting, possibly a little harder to find what you're looking for, but it also gives you more options than you might have been thinking about, especially if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Then you get to say, create and publish your first episode, aka chapter, in the story, which you can either upload using a docx document, aka Word, Microsoft Word, or type directly into their online editor like you can with Wattpad or any of those other websites that you can put your stories in manually, etc. They do have some strict guidelines about Kindle Vella, unlike Wattpad, Archive of Our Own, and a bunch of those others. You have to have original serial reading experience, and it has to be your work. It can't be based off of somebody else's IP without permission. IP meaning intellectual property, but apparently you can have it in any language, which is kind of cool, because in the book formats you actually have to say, hey, it's in these languages that we have available, and you actually have to say which one it is, blah, 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 blah. Apparently Kindle Vella does not require exclusivity, so you can post it wherever you want, as long as they are not freely accessible. So that's how they kind of get around that. That means you can't just have it on somewhere else that actively competes with Amazon. But hey, if you want to post it on your website and kind of bury it a little bit, no biggie. But if you put it behind a paywall, yeah, no. But according to Reedsy Blog, you could put it on your Radish or Patreon, and you'd probably be okay. All episodes you include in a book need to have been on a Kindle Vella for 30 days if you want to turn it into an actual permanent book, which says this could be one of those temporary type things. And needs to have at least 10 episodes. So if you do decide to use this as a, hey, I'm going to serial write a story like the old school podcasts used to do, like War of the Worlds, etc., you can turn it into a proper book, but you have to have it at least 10 episodes or chapters, has to have been on the platform at least 30 days, and you cannot include an episode in more than one book, aka you can't double dip and say, we're going to put the last episode of this in this one and the same episode in the start of that one. So supposedly, this is going to be really awesome for a lot of authors. I wouldn't know, I haven't done it myself, because they're trying to do the whole interaction features built in like Wattpad and Radish, where people can comment, thumbs up, whatever, react, etc. So they can, quote unquote, interact with your story. And it's apparently limited to standardized interactions like likes and faves, and not as cool as Wattpad because you can't apparently leave comments, which sucks, but whatever. But you can leave an author note if you're the author at the end of each episode to share additional thoughts or insights in case you feel like they're necessary. Now, of course, one of the biggest things people want to know is if I'm going to do this as an author, how do I get paid? Well, since it's through the KDP platform, it should go to the same place as all of your other stuff. Now, the whole token thing is kind of confusing to me because that just seems really weird and whatever, but everybody's got to do their thing, right? According to Read Z blog, it's pretty straightforward. Authors earn 50% of what readers spend to read the episodes on the app, on top of a launch bonus based on customer activity and engagement, which means, technically speaking, if you go the Vella route and do a episode by episode, you might actually earn less than if you were to actually self-publish it as an ebook or a paperback because of the royalty differences. They do say that the important part in the statement is a bit about what readers spend to unlock your story's episodes. So apparently how much they spend is actually going to have a huge impact on that based on how many tokens, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, it makes my head spin, and it's kind of, they say it's super easy to figure out, but I'm like, that's a lot of numbers, and I'm not good with numbers. I let somebody else do the numbers for me. So if you're like me, I mean, this is a great site to kind of get the basics on. So, give it a good look over, because you go over to KDP's and it's all just text and text and text and text and text and text. And it's great information, but if you have an aversion to just text, go with this one instead, because it's so much easier to kind of see and understand, and it kind of breaks it up so it's not all just, oh, here's a bunch of text, which unfortunately Amazon has a tendency to do. But coming back to here's the two new additions, whatever you want to call them, to the whole thing. You can start your Kindle library or Kindle Vella library, start a story. Apparently they do special awards called the Vellies. This has to be very, very new because it's the first I've heard of it, and they usually send out an email about it. But it seems relatively straightforward, similar to setting up any of your other stuff. You can save it as a draft, you can whatever, but it's basically Amazon's version of Wattpad. Except that on Wattpad you have the option of saying, I'm going to just let it be on there for free, whereas here you only get the first 3 chapters for free in hopes that it hooks your reader, and then they have to pay for whatever else. But you can do additional authors. It doesn't have to be just you. It can be collaboration, which is cool, your story tags, etc. And then, since I don't have anything to show you, I can't go on to start and publish, but I'm guessing it is similar to the Wattpad format where you can put in whatever it is your first episode or chapter is going to be. As far as the series page, it's pretty self-explanatory as well. Pick your language out of the ones that it actually allows you to use. Enter your series title. You can tell it to put it in specific order or whatever order. You can have it kind of a preview of how it's going to display, a general description of your whole series, and then you can either save it as a draft if you're not sure or ready to put it out there, or you can just go ahead and submit it, and it should actually put it up on your Amazon as a series. Like I said, I don't need to do that myself. I've already got all of my series currently present and accounted for previously because of how I set it up. But for those of you who don't know how to set it up just through individual book setup, this is a great tool. Just like if you feel more inclined to try and write your stories chapter by chapter or as related whatever episodes, because they don't necessarily have to be a story written chapter by chapter, Kindle Vella is probably more a route you might want to look at. Or if you just want to kind of try it out and see, why not? I mean, you can do that or you can do Wattpad, not that I'm trying to advocate any type of competition between the two, but when I saw that getting ready to print or publish a story for somebody else, I figured, hey, let's pass this information on to you guys, and hopefully it will be useful. Anyway, if you have questions, comments, etc., feel free to go ahead and put them down in comments, etc. below. I hope this is somewhat helpful, because honestly, most of it's still just kind of, I don't know. Nothing I've played with, nothing I feel inclined to play with, but I figured it'd be better to get it out there for those of you who have never done this before or who noticed the change and went, huh? Like I did the first time I went in and like, oh, hey, they updated it, cool. Anyway, I'm Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I hope to see you next time.